and welcome to Ditch Witch Diaries. This time we are talking about plants that are associated with Venus, and I'm going to be kicking you off with my first herb. So let's just get it going, shall we? My herb is lady's mantle. So we've covered a bunch of the herbs that go along in these, so I love it that now we're getting into some nitty-gritty of the herbs here. So lady's mantle is Alchemilla vulgaris, or Alchemilla, if you aren't talking in. If you're from somewhere other than California, probably. Okay. This is what the botanical drawing looks like, and that is what AI says it looks like. Bad. So this, though, the most amazing thing about this Alchemilla vulgaris is its leaves. And this is what its leaves look like, and they are rad. They form these like amazing, big, beautiful cups. And when they're spread out, they form these, they're like heart-like structures. They say that they're like little hearts. Okay, now we are going to hear a little poem that I found on the internet about lady's mantle. Alchemia is what it's called. I am Milior, alchemical priestess, guardian of umbilical cords from my soft elegance. I implore you to touch my velvet swathes, drink droplets from my ever-replenishing core, climb the heights of visionary scaffolding, weave together our ancestral lines, embellish upon them these lines. Transmutable energy, with the ability to create gold from dust, I pull you closer, tighter, heal with silken threads. Look at me, take heed, know your mother's mother's mother. Seed sisters.
Nice.
So, lady's mantle. The parts used are all parts. Every part is used. And the other names are bear's foot, dew cup, Frauenmantel, which is lady's mantle in German. Frauen.
German.
Leontopodium, which is lion's foot. The next one, Leontopodium, because it's because of the cups. So that bear's foot and the dew cup, it's because they form little cups. And 9 hooks is because of the shape of the little like barbs, like they kind of become hooks at the very ends. Stellaria and Tragus. So alchemia means little alchemist. It was believed that there were special properties associated with the water. And there's one place on the internet, the Ricola website that talks about lady's mantle, calls this water sap. But I don't think that's the only place that it called it sap. Otherwise, it was just like dew water that would collect in its leaves. And it was thought that that dew water had special magical properties. So plant information. It is native to Turkey and the Carpathian Mountains. And it likes it cold. It's distributed over the coldest parts of Britain and Scotland. It's found in the Arctic Circle. It's found in Greenland. And if you find it in the South, the only places that you find it are in mountaintops like the Himalayas. So it likes the cold. Lady's mantle is a perennial. That means that it keeps growing. It's not going to die out like my borage, sad, dead. Although I find it everywhere spurting up. I know. This whole plant is clothed with soft hairs, and the lower radical leaves become so big. Those leaves that I showed you, they're like 6 to 8 inches. So they get real big. So there's 300 species of lady's mantle that's found all over the world now. And she is not drought tolerant at all. She likes it wet, but not soggy. So she absolutely not a drought tolerant plant. And she is even more rad though, because she is a plant that uses parthenogenesis. That means that she self-pollinates. So it was believed that used to be believed that the droplets of dew contained what was necessary to impregnate the plant, but we know that that's not the case now. So, but you can make a yellow dye and with it and use alum as a mordant. So the stories and lore and cultural importance. Christianity. So there's not very many stories associated with Lady's Mantle, which is weird because there's a ton of magic and not a lot of stories, which is very odd, which makes me think there's way more stories and somehow I just can't get a hold of them. So that's what it makes me think. And I searched, I like looked and looked and looked for stories about Lady's Mantle. And this is the best I could do, guys. So in Christianity, so the Lady's Mantle is associated with the Virgin Mary. So they're in two ways. So it's said to have restorative powers of virginity. So it's that's what Lady's Mantle used to be used to restore virginity. I know. It's related to the Virgin Mary or Mary due to because the leaves look like like her mantle or her cloak that she put over her head. So that's what it was related to Mary due to the curved leaves that appear like a lady's mantle or a cloak. So also in Germany, we have stories. The alchemist used the water that collected in the dew cup in their attempt to produce the philosopher's stone. And during the Protestant Reformation, this is the best story because Protestant, I tell you, they're a funny group, those Protestants. I tell you, they didn't like I'm doing this tarot series. I don't even know if you look at it. It's so funny, but the funniest thing in the tarot series is that there's all these cards, right, that people are using to do divination, and they're a little gambly and witchcrafty, right? And so they have these pictures in them originally that are the Pope and the Popess. Actually, okay, so the Pope and the Popess, and if the Protestants got into control, you would think that, the religious people would just shut down this mess, right? We don't want any gambling or any divination, witchcrafty divination, right? No. They don't do that. They don't like that there's a pope in there. They don't like the popess. Exactly. They got to change it to something. It's so funny. It's so weird. So that's the same with this. So during the Protestant Reformation, they changed the name from Our Lady's Mantle, like Our Lady, definitely a reference to Mary, to just Lady's Mantle in an effort to break that connection with Mary, right? So, oh man, good luck. So in Eastern Europe, there's some stories as well. So if you put Lady's Mantle in a fire, you could ward off storms. And hanging it in windows and doorways on farms would help keep people safe from nature's wrath. So now we go to, so that's it. That was all the stories I had on her. The correspondences, though, the element is water, planet, of course, is Venus, but also the full moon, specifically the full moon. Astrological sign is Libra, typical. We would expect a Libra or Taurus, perhaps. The Sabbat or ritual is weddings and hand fasting and menarche ceremonies. The goddesses are Brigitte, Damara, Demeter, Freya, Frigg, Hera, Isis, Mary, Mother Earth, Fae, really all goddesses. And then Taweret, which is we talked about before. So actually, I'm not going to do that. We talked about it before. Anyway, Taweret was a hippopotamus goddess. And in tarot, it's Lady's Mantle is associated both with ones and aces and also with cups, obviously, because of the dew cup. Yeah. So the magical property. it's associated with animal magic. Interestingly, I didn't have any stories for why it would be associated with animal magic. So I wish I had a story. Healing, love, of course. So compassion, and it's supposed to attract love. So if you are using it for fertility, you are supposed to share an infusion with your partner before intercourse. You can apply a tincture to your chest to increase libido. And also it's full of newlywed blessings. You can burn it in a fire to cure a broken hearty. Actually, it's a heart, but a broken
hearty.
Yeah. So also it's used for women's magic. Clearly it's like a women's herb. We're going to talk way more about that when we talk about the medicinal properties, but it's sacred to earth goddesses. It's always going to bring in divine feminine energies. You can invoke the invocation. Invoke the divine feminine. Okay. So magical properties. More of them. It's going to attract the fae. Okay. So it like the leaves are said to be worn as cloaks by the good folk or the fairy folk, the fae folk. And it's alchemical. So Alchemia is its name. So it's going to be like important for alchemical magic, right? So it has alchemical dew and it's of special use in magic. So the dew that's collected in the leaves has special powers. So it's the Venus form of Mercury, because they used to like say that Mercury, like it looked like Mercury, but this dew water is supposed to be the Venus's form of Mercury. It's associated with alchemy because of its name. In alchemy, dew is a sacred water said to hold the power of celestial fire. So it's like double, like it's like, because of it holds dew, it's got special alchemical properties, and also because of its name. So the symbolic meaning is soft, and it can help release stored emotion. It's only used for protection in a very specific way. So it's a mantle of protection to sensitive people. So it's going to be a comfort and ease against external stressors to people that have high levels of sensitivity. So it's especially useful as a protectorant for that. And it's going to especially restore those who are survivors of sexual abuse. So it's of special magical use for people that need special love. The lady's mantle touch. So it's going to, another thing about lady's mantle is that it strengthens any other magic. So if you want to strengthen other magic, use the dew in your potions or your infusions. You can actually use that dew. So you can use in outdoor rituals to focus energy, and it's supposed to say buy, not bite. Here, you know what? I'm going to change this. That was a little rude. A little bit rude to bite the lady. So, okay. So if you use it in outdoor rituals to focus everybody's energy, you should say when you're using it, by the lady, blessed be. That's like the kind of little saying. So you can sprinkle it in the circle at full moon rituals, because you remember it was also associated with the full moon. You can burn it as an incense during any spellcraft to strengthen the spellcraft. You can add it to jars to magnify the magic of the jar, because the dew is said to seal magic. So whatever you're doing, you're kind of sealing that magic. And it's also said that this plant kind of creates its own holy water. That's what it is. It's like creates its own Venus holy water. So now the medical disclaimer. There you go. Because we are not doctors. We're not nurses. We're not anything. We just love herbs and plants, and we'll tell you about what we know. So here you go. So the properties, the medicinal properties, the actions that I could find is that it's an anti-inflammatory, an astringent, a diuretic, an emmenagogue, a febrifuge, and a vulnerary. So once again, we keep reiterating this, a woman's herb, feminine uses, it's all about women. It regulates menstruation, it alleviates excess menses, it's going to help you with painful periods, even vaginal irritation it's good for. And symptoms of menopause on the other side of that as well. It's also good for stomach problems. So this is the thing, is that it's good where there is like laxity. Like it's like a good thing when things, so if you have a leaky gut or you have a hernia, you have laxity of the tissues. So it's good for where you have too much laxity of tissues. So if you have diarrhea or if you want to increase your appetite, this will help you increase your appetite. It's also a blood coagulant. Okay. So external, it's good for wounds, both, but you can use it for even internal wounds, like in your mouth, or it's good internally, even for like sores internally and ulcers internally. But externally, it's good for wrinkles because of that laxity, right? It's going to help with the laxity. And even this is so funny. You can dab a decoction on your breasts to firm them. It's also supposed to help lumpy or fibrous breasts. So that's another thing. Laxity, again, I think that's what it's all about, is this. So of course how could we ever make a slide of any herb without having the old rheumatism cure? Everything's a rheumatism cure. So you can gargle with it for laryngitis. And venous laxity is a huge one. And Venus, it's so funny. It works so well, but it's not about arterial laxity. It's about venal laxity. So Venus is getting back to the heart. So that's even more hard to regulate or to assist with, because it's not like it's kind of lax anyway. But for venous laxity, so ladies' mantle is for sensitive women with, this is what they say, if you have venous laxity, you are a sensitive woman with pale skin and prominent, highly visible veins. That's a sign that you have venous laxity. And so ladies' mantle is for those people with venous laxity. Ladies' mantle, another thing, ladies' mantle works best for kapha dosha. So this constitution is prone to relaxed tissue states, venous laxity, all sorts of laxity, prolapses and dampness. Like that's what the kapha dosha is. So this is like a perfect herb for a kapha dosha, the kapha dosha. And we come to our end. This is my sources. Take a picture and let me share. Excellent. Perfect. I'm glad we got to talk about Venus laxity and Venus herbs and ladies' mantle and how it all works together. And we're getting kind of a little idea about what the herbs of Venus are all about. So we will see you at the next Ditch Witch Diaries.